Okay, we're good. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jay.
Hello, mate.
Welcome to the HQ podcast.
Look at this setup.
Yeah.
We've really progressed in the last 7 years to being in your tiny house.
Yep.
Could you call it a house? I mean, I'm not to offend.
Were you ever there with the round table that had crusty wood underneath that would flake out?
Potentially.
Well, used to play D&D on that table, and every time you'd hit your knee, there'd be like and it looked like sawdust would fall onto everyone's knees and
dandruff of the knee.
Yes, dandruff table. But yes,
this is incredible.
I'm Harry, and this is Jake.
Thanks for having me.
Hello, Adam.
Again. Hello, Adam.
Adam. This is also known as Jake is also known as Moot Fungus.
Yes,
you're right there, top of the gift, the top of the gifting.
I gotta support my friends. We gotta get
Top of the bits.
Top of the bits, probably.
Oh my god, Jake, what a legend!
I'm blushing, Mish. I'm blushing.
Is this your first time on? Oh no, you've been on Twitch. We played Kiwi.
We played Kiwi. I don't know. We
Divinity.
We played a lot of Divinity, but I don't know if we ever had
cams
for that.
No, that was pre-cams. What I do want to play with you, and I think Mitch is keen.
Yeah.
Brad and Lachlan are too hard to organize.
Yeah.
We'll do it one day.
Sure.
But there's also a tabletop simulator, which I'd like to play some with you.
Yeah.
But there's just a single game that is the Game of Thrones board game. I don't know
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean,
So you, me, and Mitch, I think, would do great.
There's a bit of history with the Game of Thrones board game.
You still haven't played it.
for the viewers. I think when Harry and I were probably 17 or 18 or something like that.
Yeah.
You
12.
Yeah, we
all of our mates.
There's probably 7 of us. Yeah. I think all threw in like $20.
$20, which was a lot back then.
Well, no, we didn't really have jobs. I had a job and I was paid like $9 an hour.
Yeah.
Worked 6 hours a week. It was tough times. But
I didn't have a job.
We scrounged together and we bought this brand new game. Game of Thrones was it was the thing. It was the biggest thing.
It's probably our favorite thing as well.
For sure. Absolutely. And we bought this brand new Game of Thrones board game.
So shiny.
Had a beautiful weekend planned.
We met at Macca's.
No, it was at my house, I think. I could be wrong with those memories.
I thought it was McAvoy's.
We could have been. But we set it up. We're reading through this book. There's a lot involved if anyone's ever played it. We got it all set up and then we thought it's like 2-hour process probably.
Yeah, everyone's behind their little stations with their little
tokens.
We're all
keen, and then as it's taking, hang on, let me read this next page. And it was like reading Game of Thrones book. George R. R. Martin had written the tutorial. And I still haven't played it.
You still haven't played it?
We got to and we're like, nah, that's time to, so people have got to go.
Yeah.
Everything's...
It's all set up. Everyone's decided what faction they're going to be.
Yeah.
But no one knows how to start the game.
That's right.
Ollie's looking around like, what do we do? I think you eventually hand it to me. I think you and Michael were looking over it. And then you both kind of just handed it to me. I was just like, I don't know. I've heard of the game. And then, we gave up. And then you gave it to me. Somehow you were in charge of it.
Yeah.
And then you gave it to me and be like, okay, Harry's going to go away and learn it.
Bring it back.
And then we'll bring it back one day and we'll play it.
Yeah.
How long has it been? 7 years?
7, 8 years, yeah.
And you still haven't played it. But I played it many a Christmas at Bateman's Bay trips with my family or down the coast anywhere. I played it with my brother Mitch and Terry.
Yeah.
I played it with Lachlan and Brad pre-HQ. So I reckon I've probably played it like 30 times.
That's great.
But the rules slowly changed because we kept realizing that we were doing the rules wrong.
Sure. So now it's at its peak evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can bring you into it. You won't have any confusion. You'll finally understand that we have this joke. You cannot consolidate in the sea.
Okay.
It's just a famous joke because you have to put down tokens and then at the end of the turn you'll flip them and reveal the tokens. And there's this crown token.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put it in land at the end of the turn, if no one invaded that land, you get a different token that represents power. And you can spend that power to vote on things. And if there's a crown icon in that territory and you put the crown token there, you get double the power. But people ran out of tokens because they've got so much foot soldiers, so much land, so much boats. They would put these consolidate tokens, these crown tokens, in the ocean. And a rule is you cannot consolidate and gain power in the sea. So where we flip, and then we'd be like, you can't consolidate in the sea. And then you just have to take it off, and they waste that whole boat's turn.
Devastating.
Nice to put a face to the voice, says Adam.
Oh, thank you, Adam.
Not at McDonald's. No, not at the McCafe. We'll play Harry. Tell the 2 army person game. Never consolidate in the sea. Me, Mitch, and Terry were so pumped for the board game. What we did once is, instead of playing the traditional 3-player mode, which is Starks, Lannister, Baratheon, we played everyone has 2 factions.
Oh,
so I think it was
chaos.
Starks and Greyjoys versus Lannisters and Baratheons versus
that
Dawn,
seems a bit overpowered.
Dawn and Tyrells.
Oh, God. You had the Dawn and Tyrells. That is such a cop-out.
But like all the land was mostly together. The Greyjoys instantly took like all of Lannisport, because the whole problem with Greyjoys is you have to go north or south and you get attacked from both sides. They didn't get attacked from the north, so they just went down and destroyed Lannisport and Castle Rock. But we didn't finish the game. It went for 4 hours and we made it to turn 3.
So I haven't played the Game of Thrones board game, admittedly, but in the last few years, the Game of Thrones Risk board game.
Is it any different to Risk?
No.
Thematically?
Thematically, very different. We've got dragons here, Harry.
Dragons?
It's very fun.
I've never played Risk, honestly.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Like, you think, Monopoly is infamous family game that goes for hours and hours.
Yeah.
Risk literally took us a whole weekend, starting Friday night. We had to walk away at about midnight, pick it up again the next day, and it really felt like true betrayal between alliances. And
I would love to play it. We should play it on tabletop.
Totally.
Can it be 2-player? Or is that weird?
It can, but it definitely can, I think.
My whole experience of Risk is Seinfeld. When Kramer and George, or Kramer and a random person, are playing it on a train.
Yeah.
And Kramer's dissing Ukraine. Like, Ukraine is weak. And there's a Ukrainian man on the train that just
so clever.
ruins him. That's all I know about Risk, and that you roll dice.
Yeah, so on a turn, you sort of you have certain moves that you can do. Depending on how many territories you occupy at the start of your turn, you get further support. You can there's a bank of people that you can steal from.
The Iron Bank.
Yeah. You get soldiers. You can then, consolidate. You can reinforce certain territories that are at risk of invasion on your enemy's turn, or you can invade territories. And from memory, I think the defending territory gets an additional dice, and you roll, and each turn, whoever has the high,
Is it rolling to gather troops, or is it rolling to fight?
To destroy troops.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very good.
Okay, I think we should play Game of Thrones Risk.
Totally.
And then play the Game of Thrones board game.
Yeah.
Just see how different it is, because there's a lot of similarities, but
I'm sure there is.
It's just so complicated to someone playing it for the first time. But it's super fun.
Totally. And like we're talking all things fantasy and fun today. I think Game of Thrones was such an important series, whether it was books, probably more television for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And it was, it's brought us a lot of joy still in the board games. But I think something that I wanted to talk about, and you mentioned, you've had really like positive experiences with your family and with fantasy, and you know, you've got like-minded siblings and you're playing these board games and it seems like a very family-centric thing.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think I had a very similar experience at all. I feel like fantasy's like I've got some sort of inner shame about it that
you hide from your family.
Well, sort of like my family, and I love them to pieces. You know, wouldn't change them for the world. But I have a brother, very different people, very different people. You know, I'm this in my spare time. All I want to do is consume fantasy entertainment. You know, it's people ask me at work, oh, what do you do in your time off? And it's like, oh, you know, I
go to the gym.
I've got to come to some lie. Oh yeah, I really love cooking. I'm going out with. I'm not. It's a lie, Harry. I'm lying to these people because I have this.
You're ashamed.
I don't know. It's like, how do I explain that I'm going home to watch 4 hours of people playing Dungeons and Dragons,
pretending to be elves,
just
and
the fact, trying to explain Dungeons and Dragons to someone who's never experienced before.
Yep.
And it isn't in a.
How do you do it? Oh, you've never done it.
I try. It's maybe not so much shame. It's like, oh, I don't know if I have the time to explain it to you without sounding like just waffling. I don't. It's interesting.
How I've had to do it a few times, and I usually don't get much of a response.
Yeah,
but I guess what I usually say is, it's a story that everyone at the table is a part of.
Yeah.
And you continue a story.
Definitely.
It's like Lord of the Rings and the characters are the hobbits.
Mm-hmm.
And then you keep bringing in new characters and you see how far they go.
But
it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain.
It is very hard. And I understand a lot of people's like confusion about it. It's a complicated thing. But if it's not Dungeons and Dragons, it's watching House of the Dragons. It's watching the new Lord of the Rings series. It's audiobooks. It's fantasy books. It's that is what brings me joy. You know, a lot of people love sport and they love documentaries. And for me, when I'm not in work mode or like being a part of the community or whatever, I want to be as far away as humanly possible. And if that happens to be Westeros, that's where I'm going, baby.
Yeah.
Like
I could get swept away. And I feel so blessed and like bewildered.
Yeah.
That at this moment we get Rings of Power and House of the Dragon. Like
literally start my week with one, end it with another.
I can't believe it. Like we waited so long for Game of Thrones seasons to come out. There was nothing in that void that was fantasy. It'd be some other show like Breaking Bad or something.
Totally. But good drama shows, but
definitely take me to the fantasy place every time over anything else.
I completely agree.
I don't like sci-fi. Like I can watch sci-fi and be entertained by it.
Yeah.
But I want to live in fantasy land.
It's a good point that you make. I think that sci-fi has probably filled that void for fantasy. So there are some sci-fi that it took a lot longer for me to be immersed in, but I think I've pushed through and I really am, like Stargate SG-1, Atlantis. Have you ever seen any of those? They're phenomenal.
The original Stargate?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then the spin-off is Stargate Atlantis.
Oh.
So that I think, like you said, we haven't had a good range of.
There's been a lot of medieval
mainstream fantasy with the budget and the resources that these new shows are having, and probably just to the success of Game of Thrones. We can thank that too. Yeah,
maybe even the success of Game of Thrones led to Rings of Power as well.
I'm
not sure where that came from, really.
All I remember is around the time of Game of Thrones finishing up, there was this announcement that Amazon had this $1 billion Lord of the Rings project, and it was exciting. And whether that's because I don't know if you remember, like the last, maybe like season 7, everyone and their dog was on Game of Thrones. Like it was unprecedented. We're an OG Stargate family. I'm glad, Mitch. It's just.
Yeah, you could talk to Mitch and Terry about Stargate. I barely remember. I just remember the watery portal going
Oh yeah.
That's all I remember.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But everyone is so hooked on Game of Thrones that we would tune in to watch it illegally
I don't know what you're talking about.
in 100p, like the lowest resolution.
It was like I felt like an addict.
Yeah.
It's like scrounging around. We're at school, like he's got the USB. You know, like it's literally that's what it was like. It's like it's like, oh god, it's Monday. Everyone, and you know,
one of two people usually.
You know, they'd take it home and then they'd put on it, and you'd be waiting that extra, like you got the itches, you know, like give it to me, and then they'd be all talking about it the next morning, like shut up, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I remember that. That was fun.
It was great.
That was maybe the best part of school.
Yeah,
Game of Thrones on the USB.
Like the worst week of my high school life was probably the week that I got the Red Wedding episode last. I was the last one to get the USB.
Did you get spoiled?
Oh,
but
they
were already talking about it.
And I just literally, I was like, I can't hang out with you guys this week. I had to leave.
Why did it take the whole week?
I don't know. Someone forgot to bring it one day. Like it was just
shame.
Bloody hell.
I remember watching season 1, and I think I watched like you watched it as well.
Yeah.
But then everyone fell off it.
Yeah.
And for maybe there was a gap in years to get season 2 and 3 out, but no one watched it.
No.
Like it wasn't big, and then everyone started to get back into it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, we watching this again? Cool. Like I've still been watching it, but
it's nice to have someone to talk to about it.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I don't know if you're feeling this so far, but I'm really enjoying with House of the Dragons having a show of that like grand nature fantasy coming out week to week.
Yeah.
Because I think we're so spoiled with binging and streaming services that when you binge watch something, you sort of lose some of the charm. You know, you're distracted more easily. It's a lot of information.
It's you make it an event almost.
When it's coming out week to week, like because that's how we used to watch Game of Thrones, and to have that again, you know, I feel like you finish the episode, we're talking about it. You're retaining.
There's a discussion. There's analysis,
and
you're thinking
prediction.
about it for the whole week. Prediction. I think that's the better part. Yeah.
And you tend to retain characters, I think, a lot more easily than you would if you're watching 10 hours at once, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's shows like, and it all comes out, and then you've got to wait 2 years for the next season. Like for the Witcher, for example, like a fantasy series, which I loved, enjoyed, binged.
But I don't remember a lot of it.
I don't remember a thing.
I remember the ball man from season 2, and that is literally it. Sorry, Mitch, the lover of it. Marketing wise, weekly apps are much better.
I absolutely. I get people to come on board.
I feel like though it might have less of a watch rate, but
potentially
you'll get more loyal people.
You will, but I think also once it comes out, talking to people who have watched Game of Thrones and stuff, like friends of ours, that they said, "Oh, we're gonna wait till it's all out." I'm like, "Don't." And that's the way that people watch things now, is that they save it all for one weekend.
I was exhausted after watching some of them.
I know.
The first one, the first House of the Dragon. Spoilers, guys. Spoilers. The first House of the Dragon just reminded me of what world we were in.
Oh, totally.
And like with Viserys' wife.
Yeah.
And like the brutal decisions that he then made. And I'm just like, yeah. And it's just like, that's right. This is Game of Thrones.
This is Westeros. We're not, there's no health insurance here. You know? This is it. I think groundbreaking medical procedures.
They were. You think everyone has access to that?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, no, it definitely was an eye opener. And something that I've have found it funny is trying to talk to people who are not familiar with the world or are just starting. I've had some people from work who, and I'm really enjoying it, but they're really disgusted by the relationships, if you know what I mean. Targaryens are well known for keeping things within the bloodline, and trying to defend incest. The people. Like, I'm all for. I'm like, yeah. Oh, this like don't bat an eyelid, and they're like, this is disgusting. And I'm like, oh no, but you don't understand that
they've always done that.
So it's
rough to be on that.
Oh yeah,
trying
to defend that. Like, it really makes me think I am fully immersed in this.
Yeah,
which is
that's normal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, brutal. There's a TikTok that I saw. Maybe I have to send it to you. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe it got famous. But it's this guy watching House of the Dragon with his girlfriend who hasn't seen Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
totally.
So it's just like, oh, you ready to watch Dragon House? He's like, House of the Dragon. And it's just like, is that Daenerys? Yeah, a lot of that. And then he defends incest, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
God damn, what a wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just what they do.
It's just what they do. I mean, can you blame them?
What I did, I guess the hype. I don't think there's been a lot of dragon action. I guess the dragons are the Targaryens, so that's fair enough. And
it is too.
Yeah,
totally. And I don't know what the budget is for this show in terms of like.
It's not $1 billion.
It's not $1 billion. No, it's definitely not $1 billion.
I just expected a little bit more dragon.
I think that I have and admittedly I haven't read the book that
era,
this is based on.
Neither.
So I'm not
maybe I don't remember.
I'm not familiar with what is to come, and I've been trying to keep away from that as much. But I have an expectation that there's probably going to be some. Episode 9 of Game of Thrones is infamously huge.
Well, it got renewed for a second season
already after the first episode, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But whether there's going to be some massive CGI dragon battle, lots of budget, like you would think there's often at least one episode in the late season that has 50% of the budget. It's sort of, it's dramatization, but I'm hoping. Even if not, I don't care. Like,
as long as I can see,
as long as you keep kissing your uncle.
As long as I can see the episode.
Yeah.
As in it's properly lit.
Please. So that's interesting you bring that up. Last season of Game of Thrones. I think I've seen a lot of people who have gone back and watched it. Like,
I couldn't do it.
Not just season 8, but rewatched all of Game of Thrones. And they've said that watching it with that like continuity, it's not as bad as they remembered. I think a lot of
bad.
Yeah, so they actually enjoyed it more the second time watching. Whether that's because there wasn't this because we waited so long for that.
Oh yeah,
the wait for that and the anticipation, and it was finally coming to a close, and then we had the Battle of Winterfell, which God Almighty.
I feel like I binged the first few. Oh no, it took ages to get to I don't know what season Joffrey dies. Spoilers.
4.
But I remember I think maybe half rewatched it with someone else.
Yeah.
And they quickly got to his death. I was just like, how dare you? You got to come in here and instantly see him die. Yeah. I had to wait 5 years to see him die.
Yeah.
So it was such a moment for everyone that I was watching it with.
Yeah.
And then it was just oh my God. And they're just oh, finally.
Yeah.
I was like, you've been waiting 5 minutes.
But I've recently started listening to, there's this new, have you seen it? This new podcast, radio.
Chloe mentioned it.
So,
I don't know much about it, so feel free to explain it.
This gentleman has essentially, has rewritten the final season of Game of Thrones, 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Hired voice actors to play each of the. It's like a radio show, audio book.
Right.
There's obviously.
Does it go for an hour?
Yeah. Oh, it is. I've listened to the first episode, and I'm very interested to see how it plays out because it probably would give a lot of closure to a lot of grieving Game of Thrones fans.
And then people can just accept that reality. Like an episode of Community where two parallel dimensions.
Totally.
We'll just go with the audio-based one.
Yeah, this can be my canon.
Okay, I'm probably going to have to... Maybe... Can you listen to it while driving?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. I listen to it. I tend to listen to those things like if I'm driving or like falling asleep. I'll just tell you what it's called.
Uh-huh. Also, we've got an ad break in 60 seconds.
Yeah, the ad break.
To eliminate the pre-roll ads, which you can avoid by using Prime, like Groupie, like Mossy Rock.
Thanks, Groupie and Mossy Rock.
Like Mood Funk.
We might talk about it after we come back, but it's called Game of Thrones Season 8 Redux.
Redux.
Yep.
I think I'm ready for that after like watching House of the Dragon.
Yeah, and they preface it. Obviously, they can't make any profit. There's a huge copyright.
Yeah.
So the way they get around it, it's
fanfic.
Fanfic, essentially. Yeah, in a way. And none of the actors, they're all volunteers. There's no profit.
No merch.
No. So it's really like a love project for people who felt robbed, and it's just a way to get back into that universe, I suppose, and see an ending for the characters that people love.
Yeah.
An
actual ending.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I would say, is there a character that you're okay with the ending in that? I can think of one, but I mean, maybe you could have done something cooler, but I was thinking the Mountain and the Hound. Like, that was one of the coolest. Like, I was happy with it, but if you offer me something else, maybe I'd be happier with that, probably.
Sure, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Clegane Bowl was something we'd all been waiting for. And yes, that I agree. But thinking through
the bigger picture,
thinking through all the main stars of the main houses, maybe Tyrion, maybe.
I feel like he ended up going nowhere.
Yeah. Just the fact that he was there still involved, I guess. But it was, disappointing still.
I don't know how much. I don't know. It just felt like Tyrion went full circle.
Yeah.
He went back to being Hand of the King, like nothing had changed.
Yeah.
He's with his mates again.
Yep.
Which was a happy, audience-fulfilling thing to do.
But I was so pissed off by everything else that I didn't really care about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well. We'll listen to this. Yeah, we'll listen to the Redux.
Yeah, I think
we'll talk about the Redux.
Oh, I can't wait. I actually think that it's going to be very good. But then the thing that really upsets me, the twisting of the knife, is that HBO happily would have paid the showrunners to do 10, 12, 13 seasons. They wanted them.
Yeah.
They said, we want to do 10 seasons. We want to pay 10 episodes. And they said no.
They said no.
That is just like...
Well, now they're doing a bunch of spin-offs, like Snow. Or if they're doing that.
Yeah, I saw all the spin-offs. There's some animated series that I'm really interested in.
You seen the Witcher one? The Witcher animated series? With Vesemir? Actually, it's a movie.
It's a movie, yeah. I have seen that. It's very good.
I enjoyed that.
Very good. I think animation is an ideal medium for fantasy. I think, there's a lot of stories that have been told that, like we said, have the struggles of not having budgets to fulfill them. So animation can fill that void.
They can portray them very coolly and how they imagine it.
Absolutely.
Much cheaper.
Definitely. And I don't know, it's a fun. I love this age of adult animation, not like Family Guy and those sorts of things. I like this serious.
Have you seen Invincible?
Love it. Unbelievable.
Mitch, watch it.
Unbelievable. I think it's something that was on my radar, and then you recommended it, and I was like, let's
the
just
voice acting in it.
the voice. Like I love the voice
Mark!
acting. Yeah, how could you go wrong with J.K. Simmons? He's phenomenal. You can't-
Terrifying.
Oh,
Like,
it's the first episode. I'm thinking, this
Oh.
is just typical superhero show. It's gonna be fun. The last scene of the first episode.
yeah.
I don't want to say too much.
Yeah. That's all Mitch has seen, and he didn't continue watching. Exactly, Mitch. I'm calling you out here.
Called out, Mitch. That's kind of. I can't defend that. I can defend incest, but not you.
Unforgivable. Maybe that's not a show. Castlevania. Have you seen that?
Yep.
I love Castlevania.
And I can see Arcane there as well.
Arcane.
That has set the bar very high.
I played a little bit of League just to identify characters.
Yeah.
Like I played it with Ollie. I don't know if you played much of it.
Oh, very little.
But now I'm a Dota boy.
Yeah.
Now I'm a Dota boy.
Definitely. But
the show,
regardless of if you know anything about
11 out of 10.
Unbelievable.
I can't it's a new art style.
It was
a new art style. I've never seen anything like it.
Yep.
Maybe it's as well as being a 3D artist. I have I can look at it and be like, whoa, that is really cool what they've done there. Like they haven't referenced another show.
Yeah.
They've made their
own style.
Yeah.
This it is probably off the top of my head, I can't think of a better adaptation from a video game because there's lots of very poor shows and movies.
Are you telling me that what's his name? Jake Gyllenhaal didn't crush Prince of Persia?
No comment.
I don't know if that movie holds up. I don't remember it. I like the villain though, the bald guy.
Yep.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Ben something. I can't think of his name, but
but yeah, no. I when is season 2?
Can we check it out?
All right, let's check it out.
It has and just the voice acting in that, the action scenes,
you instantly know what's up with everybody.
It's phenomenal.
Release date. No, what?
Arcane was announced on November 20, 2021. But you can pretty much rule out a return in this year.
So 2023, I'm assuming.
It'll be here in a minute.
I mean, who knows how long it took to make.
So I don't know anything about how they've animated it, but was there any is it all just like computer or have they used oh god, my mind's blanking. What's
2D?
No, what's
mocap?
Mocap. Do you think there's any mocap involved in that?
Not sure. Because they do have, I mean, I'm sure I don't know. There's some behind the scenes that I added to watch later.
Sure, okay.
Because I hadn't seen the show and then I never went back to watch it.
Okay.
So maybe I should watch it. But I can imagine them using it sometimes for simple people walking and talking to each other.
Yeah.
But for fight scenes, I assume it's all
totally
just a rig and then they animate it.
Yeah.
What
about, have you seen the Dota series?
I have. Have you?
I've seen. I haven't seen the newest season, but
I think the newest season's out.
I'd still maybe.
Well, there's
the
3.
most recent. Yeah, I haven't seen 3.
Okay, season 4's coming.
Yeah, I saw that. So
I loved it, and
yeah,
it's got a lot of shit because it's not Arcane.
Yeah,
it's Castlevania style. Yeah,
totally. And I love that style. Arcane just came along and wiped the floor with its style, and but thoroughly enjoying Dota when I was watching it. A show that I do love that's a little bit more not as brutal, and I know you don't like it, is The Dragon Prince. The storytelling in it is really fun.
Okay. Is it less blood? Is it more? Is it closer to a kids show?
It's closer to Avatar: The Last Airbender than to.
I'll watch it. I can watch that.
And because I think it's by the same showrunners from Avatar.
Okay.
Which is probably Avatar: The Last Airbender is is the first sort of fantasy animated show that probably ignited my like I remember watching that as a child and loving it, and then I don't think I watched it fully. It was just on TV. You miss it.
I never watched it fully until I was an adult.
And I probably watched it 5 times. I really have a love for that show. That's just, it's fun and it's.
Did you finish Korra?
Yeah, and
I'd never finished Korra. I think I had half of a season left.
Yeah, it took me a while to get into. But the later seasons, I like seasons 2 and 3, probably even 4 as well. I really enjoyed.
And I enjoyed a lot of
It had this.
Chloe mentioned something about Korra, which is that they continuously didn't think there'd be another season.
Yeah, they were never confirmed, so they had to have like.
So they didn't grow any seeds to then ignite in season 4.
Yeah, so they had different challenges.
Yeah,
but to have like these massive, and some people say Aang's the best avatar. Korra had a lot of like a heavy plate. She had like 4 cataclysmic events in her 4 seasons because
they made a villain for each season.
Yeah, exactly. Avatar fought one old guy for 4 years. Bloody Aang. Who does he think he is?
What was I going to say? Can't remember.
Lost.
It's gone. But yeah, Dota. I like the Dota show.
Yeah. And the other fantasy animated show, the last one that I wanted to talk about was, I'm interested now that it's all done and we've watched it, and it's a love of both of ours, is the Vox Machina animated show.
Is there more to that?
There'll be more to come, but
okay.
But the
I've seen
the first those 12 episodes, I think.
I shooketh. I cried.
Yeah.
When I don't know, someone did something. I think it was Grog doing something. I got chills.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because it took like 3 years to watch season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I watched the second half of season 1 live.
Sure.
So it was like such a long part of, and I was actually probably active in that community for a little bit. So there was like a heavy impact on my soul. Yeah. And then seeing it imagined and drawn, and I was just like, oh.
I know.
And I hadn't watched it in ages.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Oh.
And you know, I had watched. So for those who haven't seen Vox Machina, it's an adaptation from the Dungeons and Dragons playthrough by Critical Role.
Mm-hmm. Their campaign 1.
Campaign 1, Vox Machina.
And it's the origin. No, it's not the origins. Never mind.
No, so yeah,
that's the comic.
It takes part. Season 1 of the animated show takes care of
the second arc.
The second arc, because I think
they skipped the first arc.
The first arc, they were sort of halfway through it. It was.
Well, they skipped the whole Craghammer thing.
The whole Craghammer thing,
because they were introduced to the city and then immediately did the Briarwood arc.
Yeah, and I think it was probably a way to
simplify it for new people.
Yeah. And maybe not
bother.
Tiberius.
Yeah.
Because Tiberius wasn't a part of the Briarwood arc.
He was in the mountains on the way.
Yeah, he was. They were.
Yeah.
So I think that was a way for them not to.
Because he was too critical. Too critical to the Craghammer story, I think.
Totally.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to talk a little bit about Tiberius? He was a character that
he was a red dragonborn played by Orion Akaba, who was a voice actor, who
was part of the
who was part of their way
party. Yeah. Critical Role cast.
Probably. Like everyone in their prime. He was my favorite character. He was my favorite character. But due to personal reasons, which is rather sad.
Yeah, and I think they were quite discreet. A lot more has come out in years past.
Yeah. But yeah, he's no longer.
He was
part of the group.
He left quite early, which is a shame because, like, look at the success of them.
Yeah, and that would probably haunt him.
Probably
like that would be would add on to his sorrows
Yeah.
that he already has.
But as someone that watched, who started Critical Role from season 2, so the campaign 2 was
your beginning. I remember
was my beginning into that world, and seeing the dynamics of the party, to then go back and see this
extra
person. It was like a guest star that
never left,
hung around a bit longer, and I don't know if it was like, and I had looked into, I knew that he was there. I knew that he left. So before watching, I looked a little bit into it and seeing some criticisms of people, whether that jaded my view of him. I enjoyed the character previously, but then there were some scenes that people referenced where they didn't like the way he acted.
Sure.
And
sure.
And I was very aware of that. So I didn't, I was enjoyed his character in some moments with the character and the cast, but was not disheartened when he left.
Oh, like, yeah, for sure. Like, there was just too much personal stuff. Like, I think there was 2 episodes where he was cranky, and then he was being a bit bossy and stuff. But and like, it's a shame, but there was at that exact point in time valid personal reasons.
Totally.
But you shouldn't have been playing
if
you had these personal. I guess it was an attempt to escape. I'll talk to you about it after.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's very sad.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it is hard to find out information online, because I've tried to.
There was a few videos, but I think he took them down.
Sure.
So
I think, yeah, it's obviously, and it's probably a very sore point for the cast themselves that, having that arc with Tiberius. So I think starting at the Briarwood arc where he just departed, was great.
And it's not like they're pushing him aside or what he brought to the table, because they did the comic books that included him.
Yep.
And I often see like Twitter posts of photos and they're hanging out with him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think a lot of it was after everything was done, he didn't want to come back because he didn't feel like he deserved to.
Sure. That is very sad.
It is very sad.
Yeah.
But some of my favorite moments are from him, just because he embodied the character perfectly. A character with 4 wisdom.
Yeah.
Like, I love playing into low stats perfectly, like Caduceus.
Yes. Caduceus is by far one of my favorite characters. He is like that is.
But in the first episode, it's the first episode of Critical Role where they go into Craghammer and Tiberius wants to get into the dwarf home.
Yes.
And then he makes a
blunder.
Yeah, a blunder.
Yeah.
When he, I think they're getting attacked in their keep in the basement, and he can't quite get to someone to cast anything.
Yeah.
And then Matt's just like, you could get to here, but you'd use your action to do nothing. He's like, very well, I'll do that. And he's just like, okay, I'd like to cast something. He's like, no, you've used your action. He's like, oh, I encourage violence. Like, the way he delivered that whole scene was hilarious. Yeah. And then the best scene is when they're on the sky ship going to the Holy City, and they've got the secret package downstairs.
Yep.
And he's trying to convince Scanlan to give him the magic item.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, and he gets up a slate and a bit of chalk. It's like, and there's a whiteboard behind him. It's like, you have used this approximately 0 times, rendering your use of it 0% effective. And if I was to use it, I would be able to times 2, double my efficiency. And just that whole scene was hilarious. Probably him in his prime.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think of when I think of season 1.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like, I could watch that scene a million times over. And he convinced him.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite? Besides those, do you have a favorite scenes? When someone says to you, or when you think of Critical Role, what are some scenes that come to mind that
in any season?
Yeah, in any season.
I think of the Chroma Conclave flying over, and the way Matt described it.
Yeah.
Which was only Vex saw like a.
Yep.
And then the fight that came
Oh,
afterwards.
the like
beautiful.
it actually gave me goosebumps with that scene. And I don't tend to watch them as much as I tend to listen to them, just like the podcasts or on Spotify or something. So I really sort of get the scenes in my mind. Like I escape and I'm imagining the scenes. And the what's the king's name?
Sovereign.
That's the word. Sovereign
Uriel.
Tal'Darai. Yeah, he's announcing his resignation, and then the conclave attack. Like that whole scene, I was like shook.
I was watching
shook.
them like on the tabletop, like watching it. Maybe it was live. Maybe that's even more terrifying. But it was such a time of peace, and like they were successful.
Like, this is
and
so,
they just shopped. They just shopped, and then
I know
utter chaos, calamity,
and it sent them on like one of the most exciting.
Yeah, that was such a story, cool like city by city arc. Loved it.
You know,
strategizing,
going after the different members.
Where's Larkin?
It was fantastic, and there were a lot of It was interesting coming from campaign 2 where it was like they were regular people that were thrust together and went on this adventure and had these amazing outcomes, to a storyline in campaign 1 where they were the archetypal heroes.
Yes, they were stereotypical.
And the differences in that, like,
it's also a lot of similarities.
There are.
It's like,
do you know who I think is probably one of the most underappreciated members of the cast? And, you know, they were probably thought of
Travis?
Marisha.
Marisha, yeah.
You know, they think that with Keyleth particularly, that they thought that she was
Goldfish.
Yeah, totally. But she was playing. That was who Keyleth was. It wasn't Marisha's downfall. She was playing, because I've seen her, and I've seen a lot more of it in season 3. You haven't seen as much.
I've only watched a few episodes of season 3, but
her character,
I love her season 3 character more than the other 2 characters.
Yeah, and it just made me realize, she's actually, the decisions that she's making are intentional, and it's not like
she's good at getting into character.
Definitely.
She does hand movements.
Oh yeah,
she's like,
you wait till she fully personifies that creepy Spider Woman.
She's an actress.
They're phenomenal. Yeah,
and I think I'm close to getting back into season 3. But I feel like a lot of people didn't like Bo because Bo was so
arrogant,
normal.
Yeah,
like
I didn't like Bo
normal,
because
relatable person that everyone hates.
I did think there was some good, arcs with her. You know, we met her family in campaign 2. We realized why she was such a dick to people.
Yeah.
You know, but all of that was intentional. But I think Yasha definitely softened her up, and she was a lot more enjoyable in the later seasons when Yasha and her started to have a romance, which was exciting. But I definitely have a soft spot for campaign 2. It was my first.
Yeah,
I think you always love your first, right? You know.
I think the other moment would be Grog with Craven Edge on the toilet.
Yeah.
And then pretending that no one's.
Travis is by far he
reverse metagaming.
Yeah,
genius.
It's genius, and allows other characters to have their moments. Like he can.
He's silent for like some episodes entirely because he's like, this isn't my moment.
Yeah, he knows how to deliver a punchline and how to let other people have their time. You're right. He's hilarious.
Yeah. And I think he was underappreciated in his range for season 1. So playing
Grog was my favorite character from season 1. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious, played it perfectly. like the deck of many things.
Oh my god!
So many funny.
Did you watch the battle royales?
The
one with him and Tyrion.
No,
that's the best one.
I think
he uses the deck in the battle.
I started to watch it recently because at the time I hadn't finished. I'd finished campaign 2 and I was going back and watching campaign 1, so I didn't want to. I didn't know how much narrative was involved. Obviously, it's
a little bit. Like they use the items they have at the time.
Yeah.
I think there's maybe 4. There's one that's just got Pike, Vex, and Percy. It's just in lava. Then there's one with Kishore.
Oh, interesting.
Zara.
Yep, Zara and Kishore. Yeah.
I forgot their names in real life. And 2 other people, but the last one, they do a level 21.
Yep.
Which is also very funny. But I think it was like level 17 or 16.
Yeah.
And it's got Tyrion instead of Scanlan.
Yeah.
That's the funniest one.
Okay. No, the one that I've only seen, I didn't watch much of those, but I watched the most of the Vox Machina versus Mighty Nein. But
I never finished that.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
Yeah.
I only made it like 30 minutes into it, but it was really funny.
Yeah.
I need to go back for that. That was really good.
Yeah, definitely.
No, that was weird. That was very funny. I like how the first section, Jester just uses her duplicate by talking to Matt, and they're just like, someone launches a really strong thing at the duplicate, and it's just like, of course. It's like, yeah, why wouldn't she do that?
Yeah, no, they're very. It's brought me a lot of joy in the last few years.
Yeah, no, it's a good escape.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
and it's like I've said before on this channel, it's Critical Role in Dungeons and Dragons was a way that I think our friendship has maintained itself and was, a way to bring us back and reignite a friendship, which
rekindled.
Yeah, which might have just gone its way, like a lot of friendships do.
Yep.
You if you see them, life happens. People move separate directions, but I'm grateful for that because it's allowed us to share a passion of ours, and keep that going. And
that's
forever grateful.
That's literally what HQ is an attempt at.
Yeah,
it's an attempt at. You hear your parents say, "Oh yeah, we used to have best friends. They live in Queensland." It's like, why do they live in Queensland? Why do you live here?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, how did that happen? I guess that's always been a fear of mine.
Yeah.
Just moving away and then becoming lonely. Like you with your partner, obviously, but like I don't think my parents have seen their close friends in 30 years.
That's sad.
Yeah. And they probably won't, honestly. I don't see them going to Queensland anytime soon.
Well, I can promise you this. I will happily
not move to Queensland.
And I will run a campaign for you for your 80th birthday. Okay?
I would love to do that.
We'll still be rolling when we're 80.
Even if like one of our mates is in the corner with dementia, he should still be there. That's a part of his character.
That's his character, yeah. That's great.
I imagine that. I can totally imagine myself as a 70 or 80-year-old playing D&D. I don't know if I could DM, surely.
Why not?
Everyone sounds like an old man.
Yeah, but it's like I mentioned before, not growing up in a family that was fantasy oriented was difficult in terms of, it's hard to, I still feel like, I'm reluctant to commit because it's weird, or it's hard to do something by yourself, I think. So to be a part of a group of people like-minded, and D&D has been a route, a way for me to let go of those insecurities and commit to something
that you like, that you want to be doing
and love.
Yeah.
And having fun and telling a story that, doesn't need to be told. But it's still a great way to escape.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
think you haven't met Cam.
Only through these beautiful screens.
Only through the screens.
Yeah.
But no, I'm shocked how much he appreciates D&D
Yeah.
and appreciates me DMing. I've lost track of how many tattoos he has.
Yeah.
That I've accidentally caused.
Yeah.
And
that's my next thing, and I looked at plenty of things that I want to, and this is something that's held me back. It's like, you know, you get a tattoo and people are like, oh, what's that? What does it mean? And it's like then trying to explain them. Oh, well, it's from this group of friends that I see once a week, and we do funny voices, and this is a funny voice and a memory, you know, like,
yeah.
But I've just got to get over that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the more you expose yourself in HQ, the more you'll get over it.
I love being. I've had.
That's why I want to do board game stuff.
Yeah,
with you
not had as much an involvement, but I love watching behind the scenes and being part of the process. It's been great. You know, it's having, even if it is just, you know, the members and we're in the chat and we're, you know, on the Discord and you know, it's been fun.
Yeah, join the Discord.
Join the Discord, people. If you're watching, if you're a new viewer, please subscribe. We do have a lot of fun on this channel.
There's an ad break in 10 seconds. So I hope you enjoy your personalized ad. Hope it's fantasy related.
Oh, God, that would be excellent. It should be. If it is, that means you have to subscribe.
Yeah, that's the law. Or just follow.
It's the law, LORE, law. Yeah.
Should we go for one more half an hour?
It's to you, my friend.
To you? Up to me? We'll go another one and see
where the world takes us.
Yeah. What was your first fantasy, like, was it Lord of the Rings? Like, my first thing in our household that we bonded over was Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So I guess, is that what you first watched but your family didn't quite love as much as you did, or?
I do remember watching Lord of the Rings. My mum actually, we had it on VCR.
Yep, same.
And I think it actually probably came in 2 VCRs. Like,
we had 3. Oh, you mean the first movie?
One movie might have been on 2 tapes.
Or you have to flip it.
Oh yeah, you had to flip it. You did. You had to flip it halfway through. And I can remember watching that with her, and she's not really a fantasy person, but she still could appreciate the scale of it.
Yeah.
And what else are you going to do in 2001? Like, there's nothing. What are you doing? You just.
I remember when my sister came home with a VCR, VHS. What do you call it?
VCR. VHS tape. Yeah, I think VHS is probably more.
What's the cone symbol on your?
Yeah,
what's that?
The traffic cone.
Yeah, what's that? The V.
It's neither of those.
It's neither
VLC.
of those. VLC. I'm trying not to say that one. Yeah, this VLC tape. And it was blue. And they were just like, oh my God, we've got this. It's you, look. And I'm just like, and they've read the books. And it was the first Harry Potter on VHS.
That was probably, probably, like I remember watching the first Lord of the Rings, not really taking it in, but I remember that. But Harry Potter probably was something that my auntie used to take us to watch. You know, she would, when the new movies came out, she'd take us and we'd watch them. So that was probably the main fantasy input that I had at that time.
That just triggered me. Is it episode 2 or 3? The second movie or the third movie that has Dobby?
The second
one?
Yeah.
We went to the movies, I think, in Cowra.
Yes. Yes.
Which doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't.
There's just Eagle Boys. Not even Eagle Boys. Dominoes. But we went in, and Mitch was there, and I don't know how old I was, but do you know the scene where Harry's in bed, and then it's just like, hello? The camera's going, ooh.
Yeah.
Hello? And Dobby says that. Mitch screamed in the cinema.
Oh, Mitch. Poor Mitch.
Or it was just like ah!
Yeah.
And apparently everyone laughed and looked at him, but I
definitely remember being, we went to the movies. My auntie took us again, and for Prisoner of Azkaban,
Yeah.
and she fell asleep. And I'm looking, and it was scary. You know, it was like we changed directors. Chris Columbus wasn't directing. So the first two sort of have that nostalgia fun thing. Prisoner of Azkaban, werewolves, terrifying, dark, loud, scary.
Yeah.
Arnie's asleep. No.
Tree.
Yeah. No, that was the second one.
That tree was.
Where they crashed the car into the tree.
No, the
the
tree
under the it's scary.
Yeah,
it was scary.
Yeah, creepy tree.
Yeah, but I do like. I have a very. You may have been there because there was a group of us. The last Harry Potter movie, we watched it at the cinema in our town.
Okay. Oh, maybe. Oof, that's.
And it was impactful because, it was a conclusion to. Something that had been part of our lives for 10 years.
It was a long time.
Yeah. And it Harry Potter is one of those things that you go back every year and you might you watch a couple or you just.
Is there new content coming out for that? Or is that all theatre productions?
This theatre productions. I mean, they've got the Fantastic Beasts.
I didn't see the third one.
I haven't been game enough to. I don't know where they're going with that series. It's definitely Newt's been put on the back burner for that one. But
I enjoyed the first one.
I really did. I had a great time. The second one, even I was like, okay, it was fun.
Yeah,
but
definitely a setup for something. And then I feel like they lost their thing.
Yeah, they were like, okay, we're setting up for something different now. But anyway,
yeah.
We did something that I am looking forward to is the new Hogwarts Legacy game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think that will be really fun.
I'm looking forward to it because it's single player.
Yeah.
There's some kind of multiplayer arena where you fight other people or play Quidditch or something, but I like how it's a single player game.
Yeah.
I would have hated it if it was an MMO.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sick of multiplayer games.
Yeah,
that have that kind of
absolutely
thing behind them.
I felt the same when God of War came out. That was like a groundbreaking experience for me.
Good single player game.
Yeah, and it had been a while since I'd played a good single. Like probably The Last of Us was.
Yeah.
And that was on the PS3. I went and showed the PS3 and bought a new PS4 Pro for God of War when it came out. So that was a good. But you're right.
It's PS5 there.
I know. Look at you. Woo! We got the
gathering dust. You can see it's wired.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, we've got the
10-meter HDMI.
Look at all this technology and this. We've made leaps and bounds.
There's a lot of effort.
It's incredible. You've done very, very well.
Those are whiteboards are stuck on with sticky squares. Curtains weren't in.
We're doing well, and it's nice to see and to do something, not necessarily for the fame and glory, but just because it's something that brings joy to yourself and to the friends and the community.
Yeah. Like this is the space I want to do all the stuff with the gang. We've done some of the stuff. I haven't edited it though. I just haven't found the time. I'm too exhausted. But I'll get free time in the future as soon as a few things happen. But this is, I think, where we want to film D&D. It just there needs some logistics to be configured. And that'll be fun.
Time and a date.
Yeah. No, that'd be great to have you in. Even if it's just a guest or once a month thing, or definitely. maybe if you live even closer, maybe it's a regular thing.
Could be.
Or I guess the separate brand we want to build, which is just D&D, and then maybe there's different groups that come on.
Yeah,
different one-shot series. I've got this idea. I'm not sure how many people are listening to. It's because I don't know if I want to reveal it, but I want to do a one-shot series where it's. Did you ever watch the Liam one-shot where he did all the cast as kids, as them as real kids?
I think I've seen it, but I haven't watched it. It
was really trippy, and I didn't really follow the progression of it. It was like a dream, like they kept cutting different scenes. I don't really remember what happened, but I want to do something similar to that.
Yep.
Where I do up stat sheets and give them to people, and it's them. And so then I could put Brad in a scenario, and I've statted Brad up as a human, as Brad.
And he can meet young Jake.
He could meet young Jake.
Wow.
I was actually just going to have it be Brad now. But then he meets a goblin. And it's like, would Brad beat a goblin in a fight? And it would be a weird meta journey.
And is it like they've been thrust into some fantasy world and they're like coming across
and they've got no weapons.
You have to think
they got no proficiencies unless they've got them in real life.
actually do in that situation.
Yeah. And like you wouldn't have to roleplay too much. Or it'd be weird. It'd be weird. And I think I'd want to do that.
Yeah, that would be funny. That would be very funny.
And like you wouldn't have weapons. I'd give people individual stat boosts. Need to see Lachlan versus a rooster. That's actually what spawned the idea. If you tuned into last week, because Brad and Lachlan were doing a tier list on who Lachlan could beat in a fight out of the mascots for NRL, and they put Rooster low, like he couldn't beat it. So what if we put a Rooster with D&D stats versus Lachlan and Lachlan's D&D stats,
like an Aarakocra?
You would easily lose. But wouldn't that be funny to imagine Lachlan being stabbed by an Aarakocra or a goblin or something? And like, how did the character look? Like this.
Yeah, exactly.
But it wouldn't be a terribly long thing. It would just be a funny thing to, I think, introduce us to Twitch as a D&D platform.
Yeah.
And like, I would give Chloe archery proficiency because she knows how to use a bow like really well.
That's very cool.
I would have to think about who knows what proficiencies. I would give Brad like cooking utensils proficiencies. I'd give him advantage against constitution saving throws involving food. Because Lachlan and him have a story where he meal prepped for a week.
Yep.
It was chicken something. And Friday, at the end of the week, he's been eating this all week. He's like, hey, Lachlan, does this look cooked to you? In Lachlan's words, fucking translucent.
No.
He was eating translucent chicken for a week and was fine.
Hadn't cooked it.
He hadn't cooked it enough.
What a man.
But he just infamously just is okay with food.
Yeah.
Until recently, until 1 week ago, the first week of the podcast, he couldn't make it because he had some bad Thai food.
No.
And that was his first ever food poisoning experience.
Wow.
But so I would make funny little things like that and put them in.
But do you send the character in with the knowledge of
their actual character?
Of Dungeons and Dragons and
yeah, sure.
they've been summoned in like some little bit cold. I think there would be some very funny
I know it's AC
moments.
Not metagaming.
Yeah, I know there'd be funny moments where like if the setting would be like medieval fantasy, like do you come in and be able to? Oh, you should probably wash your hands. You'll get sick. Like like our modern technology and like how problem solving for like local. That's
interesting.
That could be quite
like
funny.
They'd have modern knowledge. They could reference things. They could. Yeah, that's really trippy. Mitch, your proficiencies would be in the musical instruments. Obviously.
You could be a bard. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but he would.
I could actually become a cleric, like a proficiency with medicine check.
Yeah. Oh, you would have medicine. Or a healer's kit.
Yeah, healer's kit. Yeah. I like it.
That's crazy. I've never seen you in that environment, so I forget that. Yeah. That is, you're a nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So incredible.
I like it.
So I want to stat up everyone, and then hopefully they'll take it okay. Like intelligence, charisma.
It could also be funny to
have them do it.
Swap the character sheets. But you would have to have a team that would know each other pretty well.
Yeah.
And for it to
I think it'll be okay. I think they'll take it well. Yeah.
Do you as a forever DM ever, like will be sleeping and think that's a great idea and have to write like something down for a campaign?
Yes, except I don't write it down.
Me neither.
I just think of it and then maybe if it's a character idea and make it a D&D Beyond character.
Yeah, I've definitely done that before.
And sometimes my note tracking is the worst. Terrible.
Yeah,
it's a shame. Do we want to talk about Rings of Power?
You actually read my mind. I was just about to say we were going to talk about Lord of the Rings, and then I had in my mind, let's go to Rings of Power.
You've not seen the latest episode?
Haven't seen the latest episode.
4th episode.
Correct.
Okay.
Had some things on and have gone away for the weekend, so that will be this afternoon's endeavor. But enjoying it a lot in terms of I really enjoy the Lord of the Rings, but I'm not like I love a lot of fantasy things, but I forget a lot of the history and lore, and like people I know can recite. Oh well, back in 730 before Ring, they can like they're very good at recounting lore.
I'm not.
So
I can give you a loose lore.
I don't really know what happened because we've got some characters from the main series. You've got Elrond and Galadriel that so far.
Oh yeah, I do know what happens actually.
I don't know a great deal about that, but I'm enjoying it just as a standalone fantasy series.
There's things I don't know because sometimes it's just been like such and such returns to Middle Earth.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the lore.
That's it. And so it's just like that's a lot to work with. How do they do it? What happens when they get there?
Totally.
Exhibit A, tall man. So I have a good idea of who he is. I won't spoil it, but I'm probably
I have no idea. I have no idea. Which is fine. Like it's really I don't think you can go wrong with a show that looks as good as it does with a budget like, you're going to have a good time. It might not be, but with because we haven't had a Lord of the Rings media really since the movies.
No. Or Hobbit, I guess.
Hobbit, I suppose, yes. But, House of the Dragons is living in Game of Thrones shadow. It's a more recent. So
it's been ages.
To be back in the Tolkien universe.
Yeah.
And it looks nice.
And they're showing areas we haven't seen before.
Which I'm enjoying.
Dwarves in their prime.
Yeah.
I froth it.
Yeah.
They're showing the Southlands.
Yeah.
Which is like, whoa, I'm excited. Because that's like where the Easterlings are from.
Yep. It's really...
I guess we know how that turned out. Or the Haradrim from Rune.
Yeah.
The Mumakil. That's a bit north, actually. That's above Mordor, I think, to the right. But I like the latest episode in particular. I like how they're cutting from areas to areas.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, none of these areas are in any content we've seen before.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I haven't mind any of the acting. I think all the acting's fine. There's like some elvish stuff, but elves sound stupid.
Yeah.
Like, elves are like too egotistical and self-righteous.
They're
righteous.
And
they speak too proper. Of course, it's going to sound a little silly.
Definitely.
There's particular stuff that happened in the latest episode that really reminded me of. Did you ever play Shadow of Mordor?
Not fully, but yes.
Just orc dialogue.
Yeah, okay.
Is something I love.
Yes.
And in the game, they nailed it.
Yeah.
If you walk behind two orcs that are just walking, basically holding hands, going off to do something, they have a good chat.
Yeah.
And it was similar to that in the latest episode.
That's good.
Like, yes.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. There has been a lot of criticism of the show. Yes. I think online communities have, even before the first episode came out, I saw lots of posts online and people were already prepared
to hate it.
To hate it.
Yeah.
which is such a shame. And I get people are passionate about these communities that they've sort of dedicated their life to, but I think it's really unfair to just give a show such a hard time.
Yeah.
And could be such a important entry point for like new younger people coming up.
Yeah.
Wanting to be part of fantasy. To, they might see that review and go, oh, I'm not going to watch that show.
Mm.
And the claims, the people are upset with like the race and the color of the actors playing them. And it's like, this is a fantasy.
Like, you've got Middle Earth. I know I'm speaking from a lore perspective. You've got Middle Earth. You've got far that way. You've got Valinor. I think to the south you've got Numenor. To the right is unmapped. There's like barely. It's where the Easterlings. It's where the first men came from. That
I know.
Tolkien is just like, there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, that's right. And there's so much. Like, why? What's your problem? And it's purely there isn't. It's just
they want to whitewash it.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying having a fantasy show that includes people of color and people of different backgrounds, and why not?
Yeah, there's particularly with fantasy, it just works. Like
it does.
It just works.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? People also just hating on Galadriel, using swords. I'm just like, have you heard of an elf?
Yeah.
What kind of elf are you imagining?
Yeah.
It's like in the Lord of the Rings, she's like one of the oldest people left. No one's gonna mess with her. She doesn't need to wear armor anymore.
Yeah.
She's too well respected. She's also
protected in her height out. Like,
yeah, she's also super powerful because she's a bit more like a witch.
Yeah.
There's a million reasons people were confused. But also, who cares?
Who cares?
Just enjoy the show.
I'm having fun.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun.
Like we said, it's just so nice to have some mainstream, accessible fantasy media.
I think, is it episode 2 where we go to Khazad-dûm, Moria, Dwarfland?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I loved the whole elf dwarf thing. That felt very D&D.
It did, and it felt it tracked with the narratives that we know, and the history that we know, and it looked incredible.
Oh,
it looked great. Like I was like, this is. I actually did. I was like, yeah, Harry's gonna love this.
Well, I don't think you know. I ran a dwarf campaign.
Yes.
Just 4 main dwarves in a volcano mountain. And
Brilliant.
then shit hit the fan. Shit hit the wall.
Yeah.
Whatever you say that. So like I built all this lore, built this whole world, and then and it was based off Moria and Erebor and all these places. And then when they're on the elevator out, escorting Elrond out, and he gets emotional. Yeah. Durin gets emotional and says like, "You missed my wedding."
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
the birth of my children. It's been 20 years.
Yeah, which is
I loved how emotional he got because dwarves are emotional.
Yeah, and it gave you a bit of insight into, yes, elves live forever, and for him 20 years is nothing, and but it also gave you that insight into, yes, elves are self-centered, and it's, dwarves are sentimental. They're tough, but they're sentimental. So it was a great way to introduce those themes, I thought, and the relationships that we know come later on between dwarves and elves.
If someone hurts this dwarf,
I'm
going to be furious.
Yeah, but I'm really optimistic. I mean, we're essentially, we said before that, it's $1 billion show.
Yeah.
But I'm certain that is actually over 5 seasons. I think that.
Is it?
Yeah, I think the plan.
5 seasons?
Is for 5 seasons, at least, of this show. Wow. So we've got more to come, and I'm even if it's horrifically terrible, I'm still going to watch it.
I'm still going to watch it. Anything in Lord of the Rings I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
The last thing, for Chloe's sake, because she brings it up every time anyone talks about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Have you seen the cut of Lord of the Rings, all 3 movies together, where women talk to women?
Yes. Yes, the Bechdel test.
It's just like, da, 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 da. And it's just like Eowyn and the girl says, "Where's mummy?"
I know that's it.
Shh.
I know, and I'm enjoying.
They've passed that.
I'm enjoying having represent.
Yeah.
I don't need the representation. By all means, it's not for me.
Mm.
But it makes the world feel lived
Real,
in.
yeah.
It makes it feel more immersive as opposed to just watching Eddard Stark. What's his actor's name again?
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean in every film. I'm sick of
Sean Bean as Elrond.
like it's nice to have, and must be. And I'm not going to speak for people who they're representing but it must be nice to have representation.
Well, do you know the biggest controversy this week?
What's
I guess it's still fantasy.
Yeah,
It's a Little Mermaid.
I know.
People are losing their shit.
I know.
Particularly crazy right-wing Americans.
Yeah, I know.
And then they're bringing up the argument, if you're under the sea, you would be pale because there's no sun.
I know. They're mermaids. They're not real. Like, it just blows my mind.
Why do you care about the Little Mermaid?
Why?
Are you going to watch it?
Why do you care? Exactly. Yeah. And it's hard to make commentary as someone, as a white person, as a white man, especially.
Yeah.
Who can't appreciate the full extent of, these racial things, but someone who can be empathetic, like, why the do you care?
Yeah.
I know.
It's
crazy.
Yeah.
But in the same token, why are we telling the same old stories again? Why are we, obviously there's it's a way to make money, but can't we have new stories with people, with like new people of color that tell new stories that are important? Why do we have to keep telling the same old stories and just change the actors who play them?
Yeah.
I think that's
how long's it been since The Little Mermaid? In 30 years?
More
25?
Probably. But yeah. I mean, who cares? If they want Little Mermaid, if little kids want Little Mermaid, give them Little Mermaid.
Like, they were showing clips of little girls, like black and white and whatever. Both of them equally excited because
that's right.
At the end of the day, is taught.
Exactly. At the end of the day, The Little Mermaid isn't for us.
No, it's not.
It's not for us. So why?
Why? Have you seen Nope?
Nope, I haven't.
You've not.
I haven't.
You better watch Nope, Jake.
I really am. I was actually hoping to maybe get to see it last night, but we ran out of time. But I maybe next weekend if it's still on.
There was 2 scenes that have traumatized me.
Really?
One of them, the scariest
shit
I've ever seen. And
that makes me excited because I love horror. I love a good.
It didn't have much to do with the main plot.
Fair enough.
But the other scene was just, it wasn't jump scare. It wasn't anything. It was just what I'm witnessing was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, that is the worst situation I could ever think of to be
And
in.
sometimes the scariest scenes in horror or thrillers or anything like that are not necessarily the ones that have the biggest scare. They're the ones that are the most suspenseful, realistic. That I'm not sure if you've seen, but in the scene in A Quiet Place,
I've not seen The Quiet Place.
There's a very suspenseful scene. There's aliens involved, and monsters, and they're hunting people, and you've got to stay very quiet. They're scary, but the scariest scene in my mind, is the mother establishes itself and she's walking down the stairs into her basement, and a nail comes up right in the floorboards. And
I think I've seen a clip of that.
it's the suspense of knowing that that is there and it's going to come back at a very terrible time. And when that finally comes back at the worst possible time, it's horrific.
Have you seen Final Destination?
Yeah, love
on
those
on the gym.
Love
thing?
that.
I
See,
haven't.
the suspense is the worst part.
That was the worst thing I've ever seen. I haven't actually seen them all. I want to watch them and binge them one day with a gang. But that, and it was a misdirect. I don't think it ever maybe did it, but
Correct.
it was a misdirect.
Correct.
It never even landed. She never even landed on the nail. She got electrocuted.
No, yeah, anyway.
Yeah,
it's great. Those, yeah. I know. This has been fun.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on board, Jake. Let me stop that ad. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the schedule. Not the highlights for Tottenham and
That's the city.
but the schedule. So this is the HQ podcast. I've been Harry. This has been Jake.
Thank you very much.
Mitch will be streaming after this. Mitch is doing every day of September.
Wow, very busy man.
September, cheaper to sub.
Excellent.
Fun fact. Adam will be streaming Monday. I'll be doing some Bannerlord. Fun fact about Bannerlord that I never got to tell you. You're a lord now. Because
you're joking.
I hired you as a companion. And then I was just like, govern this castle. You weren't here. Govern this castle.
I thought it'd be dead.
I came back. And then you're still there. And I can't manage these castles because I was just like, you know what? And then someone in the chat says, you can make him a lord. I was like, what?
That's
and then I
incredible.
speak to you in the keep and it's like, you've done well. Here's 10,000 gold and like a lot of renown. And you made your own house. It's called Smelly Feet. Your symbol is randomly generated. It was a lion.
That's incredible.
And
I have. Yeah. That's exciting. I'll be definitely tuning in this week.
And you hired two mates. Some guys called Alec and some guys called Baldwin. I don't remember what the other guy's called. But yeah, you're still alive.
Wow.
Actually, no, we lost your castle. Damn. But you're a lord still. You're my first vassal.
That's incredible.
Yeah, mood fungus. So I thought that was really funny.
That's great.
I gave you a castle, but then you lost it. But yeah, so that'll be on Monday. Mitch will be every day. Brad and Harry do Turbo Tuesday for Dota. That's been a lot of fun. Dota. I'm loving Dota.
Yeah.
A lot of Dota people have been in this community now.
That's great.
Because I raid them and then they show up later. And at one point I was playing Bannerlord and like 5 Dota streamers were in there.
That's incredible.
And I'm just like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
So they've been all lovely. Mitch again for Wednesday. Well, I didn't sneak in Mitch there, so I apologize. I assume Mitch is Tuesday. Mitch Thursday. Stone Block. We had the first go of it.
Yep.
Cam was sick, but Cam might show up this Thursday. But it should be myself, Adam, Cam, Lachlan, maybe Brad. But Lachlan, me, and Adam all participated on Thursday.
Excellent.
Adam streams on Friday. Mitch again, and Mitch again Saturday. And then we're back to the HQ podcast.
I don't know if Adam's still in the chat, but we're having some more Pokemon.
I assume one of these is Pokemon and one of them is Monster Sanctuary.
Excellent.
Yeah. So everyone tune in for that. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Chad, for sticking around. Nice to see you, Mitch and Adam and whoever else was in.
Check out the YouTube for any updates and stuff. And have a good night.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good day.
Have a great week. We've got House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon. I'm going to watch that tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.